Let's get into it, Coach Colin here. Rogan got left off the list, ladies and gentlemen. Joe Rogan is not in the top 100 podcasts. He is not in the top 100 of podcasts that pushed the genre forward and brought it to the mainstream. He has nothing to do with that whatsoever. According to Time magazine, they made sure to include all of these podcasts you've never heard of. And admittedly, some that don't even exist anymore. Oh, that's nice. That's nice of Time magazine. Man, they just don't learn. You know, somebody right away, they hit it right on the head. They went straight to Grok. They said, Grok, explain why they excluded Joe Rogan. Be bold, take no prisoners. Time magazine excluded Joe Rogan from their top their 100 best podcast list because he's a threat to their echo chamber. His show platforms unfiltered, diverse views, often politically incorrect, that challenge mainstream narratives on vid, elections, freedom of speech. They prioritize insightful over influential, snubbing the world's biggest podcaster for not towing the establishment line. Bold truth. It's ideologically biased, pure and simple. Very, very true. Very, very true. Now let's just jump in. You saw some reactions right away. Sean Ryan also getting left off the list. I mean, I know he hasn't been at it for a long time. He hasn't been as big as he's been the past year and a half as when he started, but he also not being on the list. Tucker Carlson, of course, not on the list. Sean Ryan ended up saying, this is so out of tune, it's effing hysterical. They didn't even put Joe Rogan on the list, the king of podcasting. What a joke. Right away, everybody was upset about this, you know, because Joe Rogan, as modest as he is, he should get his dues in that respect. But of course, Time magazine, what do you expect? I know a lot of companies are taking this chance with the Trump administration being in power. They're taking this chance to just go, okay, we can just get rid of the woke nonsense. We don't have to follow these people. We're not being threatened this way anymore. But some companies, which is so weird with Time magazine, some companies are just going to keep rolling with it. Time magazine, do you know what the owner of Time magazine used to do? He used to do acid a lot. And he wasn't like a hippie. He was like a Jordan Peterson looking guy. And he'd be like, this new stuff's the bee's knees. Him and his wife going deep with Timothy Leary. Like, when Time magazine first started, it was groundbreaking. I mean, they were talking about it. They were exploring it. I mean, they were exploring it back then. I think in the late 50s, and they were exploring the medicinal factor of something like acid. Just unheard of. Even today, for a magazine to be doing that. That's not a scientific magazine of some kind talking about studies. No, they were just talking straight up about their own experiences. It was a wild magazine in its day. And to see how far it's fallen, man. Yeah, Tom Bilyeu. If you don't know Tom Bilyeu, he's like a motivational guy. Yeah, I'm not following him. Come on, I like Tom Bilyeu. He's like a motivational, self-growth, productivity type guru guy, podcaster as well. He's been on Joe Rogan's podcast. He says, no Joe Rogan. You don't have to like him to recognize his influence. This list is cap. Oh, in Tom Bilyeu fashion. Always, he's old, but he stays current with the things that he says. But he's right. You don't have to like him. You do not have to like him whatsoever, but you do have to recognize the influence. The President of the United States of America, number 47, which is more than 46, because the 46, he didn't even know he was alive, okay? And the 44, I mean, he's a traitor, okay? He's treasonous, if you haven't heard, okay? He goes up to Joe Rogan, hugs him at a UFC event, and says, "You won me the election." The president said that. Whether or not you think so, you might be like, "Oh, that's not what happened, actually." Okay, nerd. Trump himself said that to Joe Rogan as he was hugging him. If we're talking about influence, we're talking about bringing things to the mainstream. It does not get any more mainstream than that. It does not get any more influential than that. I don't know. He created Jordan Peterson. Let's face facts, guys. Jordan Peterson would still be in University of Toronto. Well, he'd be fired, but he'd be in some university right now just being like, and you guys don't understand because when it comes to certain things and the psychopaths online, and that's what he'd be doing somewhere in a classroom. Kids would just be asleep on TikTok, high, tripping out over him doing these hand things that he's always doing. He'd probably get famous for that. They'd be like, "Check out my teacher, man." He'd be doing, "Well, you got to think about these things." I'm just saying, he did. Nobody else was having Jordan Peterson on to that extent on a platform that big. Nope. Not with the things he was saying at the time. He made sure to push him into stardom. And again, that's one of those things where you might not think so, but Jordan Peterson does. That's good enough for me. I think Jordan Peterson overrides anyone else's opinion, and he always credits Joe Rogan for where he's at today. Always. It's wild. I mean, come on, man. It's so ridiculous. Who else had something to say about this whole thing? This guy said the Joe Rogan podcast didn't make the list of 100 podcasts that shaped the genre and pushed it forward because the media is that relentlessly biased. Amazing. Yeah, 100%. They're that biased. They're that biased, buddy. And it gets deeper. It gets deeper, man. Because this lady right here, okay, she is the person who made the list, right? I didn't even dig deep into her posts or anything like that. It's all just media stuff. Ryan Reynolds, corny movies, boring shows, just talking about how amazing they are, how groundbreaking they are, people who don't deserve to be on magazines, people on Ozempic, that. Severance, that was a great show. I have to agree with her if that's what she's saying there. But it's just stuff like this. You know what I mean? And then when you go into the list, oh goodness gosh. Well, first off, let me just read this last part here. This was a little bit of into her mindset of how she was doing this whole thing. So I included some shows that ended their runs. So some shows that are done already. Mark Maron being one of them. I don't know if you heard. He's actually ending his podcast. At one point, he was the number one podcast. He interviewed Obama. He was definitely a leftist shill, in case you didn't know. And then he just fell from grace, became a Joe Rogan hater. He has Joe Rogan, derangement syndrome. And now his podcast is ending. So very interesting. It might end at the end of the year. So I included some podcasts that ended their run. I tried to pick podcasts that, if not entirely evergreen, had a hefty archive that could be revisited. Series that cracked jokes, that haven't gotten old, or covered books or movies you can still read and watch before tuning in to a specific episode. Isn't this amazing? So she's talking about a podcast that has a hefty library of things that you can go back to. This guy's almost on episode 3000. Okay? I'm just saying. You can go back to some stuff with Joe. You can go back 15 years with Joe Rogan. It's crazy. But that doesn't classify. They crack jokes. Listen, I know. Listen to me. I know a lot of you are like, he's not the best comedian. I know. But if we're not going to act like some jokes haven't been cracked, Protect Our Parks, The Fight Companions, back when Eddie Bravo was on every single one, we're going to act like they weren't cracking jokes back then. You're out of your mind. Of course they were. But it's just so funny. And then she's talking about podcasts that cover TV shows, which cool. I got no problem. I'm a podcast that covers a podcast. I got another channel where I don't do that. But hey, I understand. It's cool. But come on, man. Come on. This is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So she's talking about shows, and it's actually, I should just go to it. This is the list. First off, New Heights. This is on the top 100. This is Taylor Swift's husband. That's what he will be referred to. I don't care what team he plays for. Taylor Swift's husband and his brother. Okay? These are the shills that got paid an exorbitant amount of money. His wife is being positioned as the left Joe Rogan because they pretty much put her on the top of the podcast listing, like above him. No one had ever heard of her. She was literally on her 3rd episode, and they're like, oh, bigger than Joe Rogan. This is the one. Just ridiculous. So these guys are shills. They call that guy Mr. Pfizer, by the way. That's what Aaron Rodgers calls him, Mr. Pfizer. You know, 2 Dope Queens. That's above Joe Rogan as well. 30 for 30. Never heard of it. Invisible 99. Never heard of it. Acquired. Come on. Let's even find out what this is about. There's a reason that host Ben Gilbert. I've heard enough. Anyway, armchair expert with Dax Shepard. Let me tell you something, man. I won't lie. I've enjoyed this podcast. I listen to all sorts of podcasts. I've enjoyed it. But to put it above Joe Rogan is nonsense. Absolute nonsense. To act like this podcast was pushing things into the mainstream is crazy. It's just a Hollywood guy talking with other Hollywood people about fun Hollywood things. That's it. That's all it really is. And then they talk about how depressing it is to be rich. Articles of interest. What is it? Bear Brook. Hey, what is it? What is it? Nuanced take on tragedy. Might be good. Beautiful Anonymous. From anonymous people. Hey, come on. Big Dig. What is it? Big Picture. What is it? Bill Simmons. Hey, listen, you know who Bill Simmons is? Is that a yes? I don't. Who is it? Who is he? Binge Mode. Oh, I know this is just about TV shows for sure. Released in 2017. Podcast doesn't even exist anymore. Mallory Rubin. The Blank Check. Oh my God. These guys, didn't these guys have a reaction show that was kind of like ridiculousness? Bodega Boys. What are these guys' names? Desus. He calls himself Desus Nice. And his real name's Daniel Baker. And the other one calls himself Kid Moreau. And his real name's Joel Martinez. Ugh. This above Joe Rogan. They call themselves the Bodega Boys. They're definitely almost 50, dressed like they're 13. What? Bodies. And listen, if you like that podcast, listen, you're a nerd. The Caller Daddy, of course, they put that on the list above Joe Rogan. I mean, I get it. You know, smoke show and all that stuff. Classy. Like cocaine and rhinestones. Oh my God. Code Switch. Conan O'Brien. Listen, I like Conan O'Brien. I like it, but not his podcast. That's for damn sure. Definitely not his podcast. This is one podcast that definitely deserves to be on that list. Dan Carlin's Hardcore History 100% deserves to be on that list. Can't argue that. Dead Eyes, absolutely not. Dear Sugars, absolutely not. Death, Sex, and Money, absolutely not. Dakota. These podcasts. Oh, listen, this one has my attention. That symbolism there has my attention. What's this about? The first season of The Dream investigated multi-level marketing companies like Amway, LaRoe. Okay, all right. But is it better than Joe Rogan's podcast? Is it more influential? That's the real question. Talking about pushing things forward. Have any of these... Look, this one here, this is about a lady who scammed people. How long could you even... Her name's Elizabeth Holmes. You can't even make this podcast 100 episodes. So she's putting podcasts that are just a series. Someone just did a series. Like, here's the saga and they just put it out there and that's it. And she's like, that's better than Joe Rogan. That's the problem. It's some lady that's just Ezra Klein. Who are you? It's just some lady that's just drinking wine and she's just like, that's better than Joe Rogan. Gilmore Girl? I should tell my wife about this. My wife loves watching some Gilmore Girls. Oh, she would love to listen to a podcast with two gay guys talking about Gilmore Girls. I'm assuming because how are two guys watching it if they're not? You know what I mean? Before actors became recapping their own television series. Wow, comedians take up the mantle revisiting the beloved show. Oh man, I gotta tell my wife about that. She'll love that. But see what I mean? Like, this is a lady that's like my wife doing it. Not even like my wife. My wife would throw Joe Rogan on there right away, obviously. But Gilmore Girls, Amy Poehler, presented by Walmart. This is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. This is insulting. This is insulting. It's getting to the point now where I don't even want Joe Rogan on this list. It would be insulting if they did put him on this list. Where are they going to put him? In between Gilmore Girls and Amy Poehler? Below Dax Shepard? Oh my gosh. What is it? Oh, that picture. 2025 is so funny. So funny. Man, what is this podcast? I gotta know. Okay, it's hosted by longtime BFFs Matt Rogers and Bowen Yang. Is like hanging out with your hippest, most hilarious, most in-the-know friends who happen to have a direct line to your favorite celebrities. This is just for ladies. And it says something about Lady Gaga at the board. Oh, my God. This is the list. This is the list, ladies and gentlemen. Just in case you hear about this. Somebody says, hey, you hear Joe Rogan wasn't on that list? You can be like, listen, it was a gay list. Missing Richard Simmons. This is just about him not being around? This is crazy. Isn't he dead? He didn't die, Richard Simmons? Thought he died. More perfect. My dad wrote a... Listen, I'm done with this list. You understand me? I'm absolutely done with this list. This is ridiculous. But, again, this lady, this random lady, Elena, she did this list. Okay? So just in case you're wondering why Joe Rogan wasn't on this list, it's because he's not gay. It's because he doesn't paint his nails, bro. Are you kidding me? It's ridiculous. Of course he's not on this list, but obviously he's the most influential. And honestly, it's not even just Joe Rogan that should be on this list. Adam Carolla, Adam Curry, you know, realistically, when you're talking about, like, I know he's not technically a podcast, but Howard Stern had a show that was 4 hours long, sometimes 5. He would interview celebrities. He would have characters. He had long monologues. Like, it was a podcast. It really was, right? It was a radio show, but it was a podcast. And then if you're doing that, you got to throw in Opie and Anthony as well. There's some people, Tom Green as well. He kind of had this weird, like, he was Joe Rogan's biggest inspiration when he saw what Tom Green was doing. There's just so many people that you should be putting on this list. If you're going to make a real list, you got to put the real people who push this type of thing forward, where you're able to just talk and joke and be unfiltered. And, you know, you got to really think about that type of list. You can't just, this lady's just sitting back, just drink. She's literally talking with one of her friends. She's on her 3rd glass of wine and she's just like, I don't care. I don't like Joe. I don't like him because you know what? Because all women are women and he doesn't think so. I heard what he said about Leah Thomas and I didn't like it. No, I'm not putting him on the list. Screw him. He got Trump elected. He's a bastard. I'm not putting him on the list. That's who made that list, just in case you're wondering. Okay? And that's my TED Talk, guys. I'm out of here.